Good morning, everybody. How is everyone doing after yesterday, which I'm stealing a quote from one of your comments, which I do often? Emotional roller coaster. Damn is all I can say. And we're in for another damn because we have a horrible, horrible situation on our hands with little Oaklee Snow. Hello, Kiki. How are you? Hi, Sandra. Where's Summer? Are you going to behave? I know you're chomping at the bit. Somebody contain Where's Summer. That is your job. Hey, Slim, what's up? Jennifer, good morning. Hey, Fun to Ski. Radio Gaga, what's up, girlfriend? All right, this morning I did put a video up about Trent. Arrests have been made. You're not going to be happy. The 17-year-olds that are involved, guilty as sin, are being treated like 9-year-olds. So beware when you watch the video. It's going to make you mad. Good morning, Bonnie. Good morning. And of course, when this very, very, very important show is done, we will be streaming the trial again today. So let's get to it. This is little Oakley. Now you see right there, it has a 405 area code on there, Seminole County. Is she not precious? Absolutely precious. We have 4 different states, okay? Oklahoma, Colorado, Indiana, where she was last seen. She was also seen in January in Oklahoma. It'll make sense in a minute. And North Carolina, where her mother is currently in custody. She was last seen in Indianapolis to be more specific. And her mother was holding her and said she's sick and she was taking her to the doctor. She's never been seen. She also left behind another child who is safe now. So she's in trouble for abandonment and some other things. I'm not going to get into Maddie. That's the mother's name. I'm not going to get into the father. But I am going to talk about Rowan, the boyfriend. Okay, here's Maddie right here. She's in custody in North Carolina. Let me read this because it's small and I do actually have my glasses with me. On March 23rd, 2023, Harnett County detectives received an anonymous tip concerning Madison Marshall, a person wanted by the Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department for child abuse and questioning related to the disappearance of her daughter, 2-year-old Oaklee Snow, who was last seen in Oklahoma on January 19th, 2023. Detectives working with FBI agents located Madison, age 22, of Oklahoma, at an address in southern Harnett County. Marshall was arrested without incident and is being held in the Harnett County Detention Center on an $80,000 secured bond. She's still there. The boyfriend in question is Rowan Waters. I don't have his mugshot, and yes, I did look. Yes, I did look. Anyway, it's got to be around there somewhere. So there's Rowan. He's being held in Colorado, and since he is too precious to breathe, he wants a governor's warrant. He's refusing extradition. Child abuse? Yeah. Let me play a clip. This is from earlier, and it might make more sense. And then I'm going to bring some people up. They're going to tell you who they are, because they know everything that's going on. I lost one of them, so if somebody could message Christine and let her know, the connection was lost. There she is. Okay, this is an older clip, so things have happened since then. Hang on, Paula? Paula, good morning. Paula made it in. I haven't seen you in weeks, girl. I was about to send a search party after you.
Jess, that's right. They say that the mother, the 2-year-old, and the 7-month-old baby were last seen together in Indianapolis, Indiana. Now, they say the 7-month-old is back here in Oklahoma with his father, safe and sound, but mom and her ex-boyfriend are in jail. The 2-year-old Oaklee Snow, she is still missing.
Jerome Waters, who's an ex-boyfriend of Madison, they had departed Oaklee County and had went to Indianapolis, Indiana.
Okay, Oaklee County is in Oklahoma, and the name Rowan, you're going to hear a lot in this case. All right, get used to it. You're going to hear the name Rowan a lot. Again, this is Rowan. I'm not picking on the neck tattoo, the head tattoo, the tattoo between his eyes. I have a lot of other things with Rowan to pick on, trust me. He is the worst of what Oklahoma has to offer. I hope they keep his ass in Colorado. He wants a governor's warrant. Governor Stitt's not going to do that.
So when we was notified, we had no information and nothing that we could issue an Amber Alert.
This all started back in January. Seminole County Sheriff's investigators say no crime had been committed when the mother, Madison Marshall, had taken her 2 children over state lines.
She is a custody mother of these children.
These photos of Oakley were given to us tonight by the child's father here in Oklahoma. Investigators say Madison was last seen with her 2 children in Indianapolis in February, carrying out 2-year-old Oaklee Snow out of a home.
They described it, she was either asleep or unconscious. She wasn't moving. She was wrapped in a blanket, and mother made a statement, I got to get her to the hospital. She's been hurt.
But they say Marshall did not take the child to the hospital. The Seminole County Sheriff investigator said he was told by Indianapolis police that the mother had left the 7-month-old behind.
That's when she left with Oakley to say that she's taken her to the doctor. She never came back. These people actually called Indianapolis and said, hey, we've got a little 7-month-old baby that's been abandoned here. Would you come and get him?
After this, Marshall and her ex-boyfriend, Roan Waters, went to Colorado. That's where Waters was arrested for outstanding warrants based in Oaklee County, Oklahoma. Police there say no.
Okay, so he's arrested for outstanding warrants in Colorado that stem from abusing Oakley. Again, Rowan is a name that you're not going to forget in this case.
Child was found at the motel where the arrest happened. Waters is facing charges of child abuse and domestic assault from incidents back in October of 2022. After Waters was arrested, the mother traveled back to Indianapolis before making her way to North Carolina. And we know right now that the mother, Madison Marshall, is being held there in custody in Harnett County in North Carolina. She's being held on charges of child abandonment from Indianapolis. And Seminole County Sheriff's Office says if you have any information about this case or any information maybe of Oakley's whereabouts, they're asking for you to call the Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department.
Okay, so there it is, and the CLL secretary, Christina, made sure to get it to me. Rowan Allen Waters, 25 years old, and he has already messed up this bad. Doesn't say the charges. Wow. Wow. Wow is all I can say. And then out there somewhere, if you look on the screen at that little face, look at those eyes. Little Oakley. Little Oakley is out there somewhere. First, I'm going to bring up Christine, and I'm going to talk to her, and then I've got 2 other people I'm going to bring up, and they're going to introduce themselves as we go along. Let's be respectful. If anybody sees Where's Summer, you know she's the one to watch. I love you, Where's Summer. Good morning, Christine.
Good morning.
All right. Did I get any of that wrong?
No, I'm sorry. I had some audio issues at the beginning, but for most of that sounds correct.
Okay, good. Because when I hate when I misspeak. I absolutely hate it. And normally the chat will tell me. So we're in good hands here. Okay, let's start. Where do you want to start with this? First of all, introduce yourself. You don't have to tell them your relation, whatever you're comfortable with.
Sure, absolutely. My name is Christine Cooper, and I'm actually Oakley's grandma, and I don't mind saying it. I'm Madison Marshall's stepmom.
Welcome, Christine. Some people don't want to say the relation, so I leave it to them.
I'm okay with it.
Okay. When was the last time you saw Oakley?
The last time Oakley was actually seen was in February, February the 9th, and that was in Indianapolis. Last time she was seen by her father was January 19th in Oklahoma, Cromwell, where he currently resides.
Okay, and the father, Zach, right?
That's correct.
Zach has the baby that was left in Indiana.
Yes, he does.
7 months old, correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I saw one thing that said 7 years old, and I was like, that can't be.
No, he was 7 months at the time that he was abandoned at the home, and he's 8 months now.
He's 8 months now. And how is he doing?
He is good. He is doing good. Happy little baby.
Good. Good. Okay, so whatever you can tell us, what are the investigation is primarily in Indiana, I gather, because that's where she was last seen.
That's correct.
Are you speaking with any of the ISP officers, FBI, or anyone like that?
Anytime that we get any new leads, yes, we reach out to any department that that's involved. So I have spoken in the past with INPD, Missing Persons Unit, as we had gathered some information and we wanted to make sure that was provided to them.
And that's how it should be done. Good for you. A lot of family members don't. Really, they don't. They will avoid the police at all costs to protect a family member. So good for you. Now, you said that Maddie is your stepdaughter. Have you or your husband spoken with her since she's been put in jail in North Carolina?
We did speak to Madison one time, right after she was arrested, but we have not spoken to her since.
Is anyone going to try to bail her out of jail?
If anybody is going to, we don't know who they are or why they would at this point in time.
But it's not going to be you.
It's not going to be us.
Okay. All right. Nope. No, she needs to sit there and tell them what happened to Oakley.
Exactly. That's all we are asking for. Tell us where Oakley is.
Now, I'm not trying to fuel any theory or speculation, but you know her. You're aware of the situation with Rowan. Do you have any idea what could have happened?
I do not. I can tell you, obviously, if we go back to October when the initial report was filed for child abuse and domestic assault charges against Madison, we already know what kind of a person Roan is. There's been other occasions that we've been informed that he has not been the nicest of persons to Madison. So we don't know in that moment what took place or why she would have even chose to leave with him on February the 9th and make their way towards Colorado after they abandoned Colton and Oakley disappeared.
Well, and then the question also is, why did she leave with him in the first place or even have him back in her life after what happened in October?
Yeah, I mean, lots of questions, lots of unanswered questions for us right now. And unfortunately, we may never know. That's going to be up to Madison to be the one to tell that story.
How are you guys holding up? Because talk about a nightmare. Little Oakley
Yeah. Uh, I said it the other day, you know, we're exhausted, but we will never stop. We will never stop looking for her. But we're tired, and we want some answers. We want some answers from somebody. You know, we're sitting here every single day, and anytime we get, you know, any type of lead or anything like that, we're doing our best to turn all that information over, but we're not hearing anything from INPD. It's just ghost on their end.
Mhm.
And as you saw, Seminole County did, uh, you know, an interview, and we just want to know why we haven't had any type of update, press conference, anything out of INPD.
And that's unfortunately, that is uncommon because they don't like to show their hand. And they don't update families the way they should. And when was the last time that you did speak to them or you did call them?
We spoke to them back in March.
In March. Okay. Hello, Sherry. Sherry said hi from Oklahoma. Okay, I'm going to bring up Molly and Juju, and let's go back to when Rowan was first introduced into the family. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. Absolutely.
Good morning, Molly. Good morning, Juju.
Good morning.
Hello, ladies.
I'm going to let you guys introduce yourself. Molly, go ahead.
Hi. I am Madison's aunt.
Madison's aunt.
Yes.
Okay, we have Aunt Molly, Grandma Christine, which, by the way, Christine, I don't know if you can see the chat. We have a ton of people in here saying, way to go to this grandma. Way to go.
Thank you.
Juju, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Juju, and I am not a relative of Oakley's, but our team has been following the case closely and offering support to the family.
Good for you. Good for you. They need all the support they can get. They need a war chest at this point.
Absolutely.
Because Oakley hasn't been seen. Well, this is April. She hasn't been seen since February. And when she was seen in February, she wasn't in the best of shape. The people don't know if she was unconscious or asleep and hasn't been seen since. No. Okay, so Molly, I'm going to start with you. We were talking back and forth yesterday, and you're very aware of the relationship between Maddie and Rowan. As you know, I'm not cutting any excuses for Maddie whatsoever, but Rowan seems to be a big, huge problem.
Yes. I didn't hear much about him, but I was there when Maddie started talking to him.
Do you know how they met?
She said she showed me her phone and she said, "Look who just added me on Facebook. He's really cute." She was showing me like a guy that she just met. She said, "Oh, look who added me and is talking to me." She was really excited.
Do you happen to know what Zach thought of this relationship? Because Zach, by all accounts, seems to be a good dad.
No, I did not know what Zach thought of it. Maddie and Oakley were currently staying with me.
Okay, and where was the baby?
Madison was 8 months pregnant. She had not had the baby yet when she met Rowan.
Okay, sorry, I'm doing the math. Sorry, my math is off. I apologize. Nucky wants to know, where is Rowan out of? Is he from Seminole?
I heard he had just gotten out of jail in Seminole, and that's how he started coming around. I heard he had family somewhere else, but I just knew that he had just gotten out of jail in Seminole.
Yeah. Getting out of jail in Seminole should be a song. That's not a good place to be. Do you know what he was in jail in Seminole for?
No, I didn't find out until later. Maddie didn't know any of the jail part, and she just thought, oh, I'm just meeting, a person off Facebook, a guy off Facebook who, he seems really nice. He was really nice to her. She would show me some chats of them talking, and it made her, gave her butterflies.
Well, unfortunately, those butterflies got her in jail in North Carolina, and no one can find Oakley. We've got 4 states involved: North Carolina, Oklahoma, Indiana, and Colorado. Now, exactly what makes Rowan think, and maybe Christine can answer this, maybe Juju can, I don't know, whoever can answer this. What makes Rowan think he is so special that he's going to get a governor's warrant and not answer to extradition? All they have to know, the bar's pretty low, is that he's wanted for this in another state and that his name is Rowan Waters. What makes him think he's going to get to sit in Colorado? I get why he wants to sit in Colorado as opposed to come to Oklahoma. I get it 100%. But what's up with him?
Well, Roan thinks that, you know, he can use his gang affiliations to get what he wants and intimidate people and everything else. So I think that he just thinks that he is above everybody else and that he's just going to walk out of there like nothing ever happened. And I mean, you know, from the moment that he was arrested, he lawyered up and just stopped talking.
I'm going to assume Rowan doesn't really have any trade or day job. How do they make their money? Because this is a lot of travel. Oklahoma, Colorado, Indiana, North Carolina. Who's footing this bill?
I have my assumptions. I definitely have my assumptions. I definitely believe that they were taken care of through family of his. I definitely think that. But also, you know, we have to be honest and speak to the fact that, you know, drugs are involved.
Okay.
So, whether he's dealing them or whatever the case may be, I believe that that's also part of maybe how they were getting some of their money.
Yeah, from what I've seen, there's definitely he definitely from the outside looking in looks like the drug dealer, so I'm assumed that's where they got the funds and family.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Molly, when Maddie was staying with you and had just come across Rowan on Facebook, was there any drug use going on? Did you notice anything different about her?
No, Maddie wasn't using any drugs. I even had to take her to the hospital a couple times to get checked about the baby, and I'm sure they would have noticed if she was under the influence, but I never saw anything, nothing on her arms. She just seemed, you know, normal.
So basically, Rowan is just bad news all around, which it is Maddie's responsibility to protect her children. Something went way wrong between the Facebook introduction in July and child abuse charges in October.
I agree.
Then from October, we're in February, and we see a sleepy or unconscious Oakley, and she's nowhere to be found. Now we have Maddie in North Carolina in jail. No one's going to bail her out, and she's not saying what happened. She could easily turn on Rowan. What's going on? That is very concerning to me. I thought when I heard she was arrested, she's going to spill it. She's going to say, this is what happened. Rowan did this. Rowan did that. Because just because those people, whoever it was, do you happen to know? I don't need their names. What is the relation to the people that saw her with Oakley asleep?
Those were actually witnesses, is what we've been told. That there were witnesses that saw Madison carrying Oakley out of the home, wrapped in a blanket, and she didn't appear to be moving, talking, or crying.
Were they staying at a hotel, a house, an apartment? Where were they staying in Indianapolis?
Actually, yeah. So when they arrived in Indianapolis sometime in January, because obviously they left Oklahoma January the 19th. So at some point in time, they arrived in Indianapolis, and they were staying at a home that was owned, or that is still currently owned by Roan's mother, Brandy Pearson. And that was in the 300 block of Albany Street, which is south of downtown Indianapolis. That was the home that Oakley was last seen at.
Oh, Rowan's mother.
Yes, Roan's mother's, it's Roan's mother's property. She owns multiple properties.
And he winds up in a jail in Seminole. Okay. It's only like 10 hours from Seminole anyway. So, I mean, they could have easily made it there in a day. So safe to say they got there quickly. So is she being interviewed by the police? Do you know? Because Brandy, Grandma Brandy, Mama Brandy knows a lot. She's there.
I do not know. I'm going to assume that that's going to be a yes. There are multiple people involved in this. Roan's sister, Kiana, she was the one who they called when they said that they had to take Oakley to a hospital because she had been hurt. They called her, Roan and Maddie called her to come and get Colton from this house where they had left him. So she did go and get Colton from the house. And she had made contact with Roan at some point in time on the phone, and she had asked why they had left Colton all alone, and Roan had stated because Oakley hurt her head bouncing on a ball and needed emergency care. At some point, Kiana, I believe that's how you're saying her name, Kiana, saw Madison and Roan return to the home when she was leaving, and she didn't see Oakley or attempt to speak with them at that time. So later that night, on the 9th of February, Kiana did report to the Department of Child Services there in Indianapolis that Roan and Madison had left Colton alone at the home because they needed to take Oakley to the hospital. So, I mean, there's a lot of people involved. So I would say yes. I'm sure they've all been, interviewed by the police at some point.
Mm-hmm. Sure, it goes without saying. I'm sure they have. Would Brandy take your calls, grandma to grandma?
I have not attempted to reach out to her.
Now, when the people that the baby was left with, did they just call the police, or how did that happen for them to come get Colton and bring him to his father?
Yeah, so Roan's sister, Kiana, did state that she received a call from a person named Chad. And I'll tell you, I'm not sure that is the correct name. That's just what's stated. I don't believe that's accurate. But she did say that's who she received the call from, that Madison and Roan had left baby Colton alone with him, and he asked Kiana to come and get him.
Okay. Mermaid, you're right. Mermaid said if she was brought to the hospital, CPS would have stepped in, especially if it was a head injury. And Slim, I was thinking this too. Indy has a lot of cameras everywhere. I'm really surprised they have not, and they may have. They may have. They don't tell us. There's a lot of cameras in Indianapolis. Do you know what Rowan was driving that day?
Yes, it was a blue, and correct me if I'm wrong, Juju, but a blue Dodge Durango.
Yes.
And I believe that also belonged to Roan's mother, or is somehow associated, as she also owns some sort of a car dealership there in Indianapolis.
And Christine, you all haven't been told if they've ever located that blue Durango, correct?
We haven't specifically been told that, but I have been told that it's been processed. So whatever that means.
Oh, okay.
But we're talking about, you know, from the time that Oakley disappeared on February the 9th until at some point in time, you know, in March, before that vehicle was ever apparently processed. I don't even know what that means. That's just what we were told. And so there's a long time in between Oakley's disappearance and that situation where that vehicle could have most certainly been, you know, stripped down, cleaned out, anything like that.
Have you spoke with Zach, Oakley's father?
My husband has spoken with him. Yes, we do keep in touch with him.
I'm just wondering how often he calls the investigators or if they're reaching out to him for information or to tell him what they have going on. They're not going to tell everything. We know that for sure. Russian Aloha said babies don't just disappear. No, they don't. They do not.
Yeah, I've been told that Zach reaches out to them on a regular basis. You know, he's Oakley's dad. He's just as frustrated as we are. We want some sort of update, right? And so, you know, he's doing the same thing. He's asking, like, why are we not hearing anything? Even if you just came out with a press conference or a statement to the family that says, you know, we don't have anything new at this time. This is maybe what we've done so far. Like, give us something to go off of, because at this point, you know, we're turning to the communities for help. We're asking for volunteers to, you know, foot search. We've got people hanging flyers for us every day. We're on social media platforms doing our best to try to, you know, push forward and find Oakley, because we feel like we're not getting any answers.
No, and what we need to do, and I'm writing it down right now, if I could get my pen to work, is we need to get a hold of, even though she was last seen in Indianapolis, Zach is here in Oklahoma. I don't know where Molly's at. I don't know where Juju is, but Tulsa covers a lot of Seminole news, and Lori Fulbright, she would definitely do an interview with Zach. She wouldn't just do, I mean, she would definitely do a sit down with Zach.
I think that's a great idea. Anytime, any way we can get the word out anywhere. You know, we've really been pushing a lot of news channels lately, and we have had some luck. You know, I did an interview last night with WRTV out of Indianapolis. They covered Oakley's vigil that we had yesterday in Indianapolis. And so I did a brief interview with them over the phone. And I mean, any way we can get the word out is going to be the best thing.
Yeah, and the media is the best way to do it. Don't get me wrong, social media is great. Social media is great, but when it's actually on people's TVs and it's pushed in a news feed, you know, Facebook groups don't really get pushed in a news feed, but media outlets do. Let's actually look at that clip from last night because it would be the most up to date.
Users are praying for a missing 2-year-old from Oklahoma. Oaklee Snow went missing months ago, and investigators say she was last seen in Indianapolis. Our Amber Grigley spoke with her family tonight as they continue hoping and praying for answers.
Flowers and flyers handed out Monday afternoon, making sure Hoosiers do not forget 2-year-old Oaklee Snow, who has been missing since February.
Passionate God, soothe the hearts of Oakley's family and friends who long for her presence.
We're stressed. We're tired. You know, it's on our mind every single day from the minute that we wake up to the minute that we go back to bed.
An unnerving feeling for Christine Cooper and her family.
Oakley is my granddaughter. So Madison Marshall is my husband's daughter, and Madison Marshall is Oakley's mom.
As they continue to search for 2-year-old Oakley May Snow, who was brought to Indianapolis from Oklahoma with her 7-month-old brother at the time by their mother, Madison Marshall.
Madison was actually arrested back on March the 23rd in Harnett County, North Carolina. So she is currently being held there, and I believe waiting extradition back to Indiana. She does have charges against her for leaving the other child, Colton, her son, 7 months old at the time, leaving him alone.
Police did locate the 7-month-old son, but did not find Oakley May.
Trying to find another lead somewhere, or, you know, somebody says something on social media, and then we start going down rabbit holes, and, you know, we're exhausted, and we just want her home.
Keep her safe and constantly under your protection.
There's a 2-year-old girl missing, and although she's from Oklahoma, we've adopted her as a Hoosier, and that she became missing from here.
Janie Dubs put together a prayer vigil Monday outside of City Market in downtown Indianapolis.
Hopefully, we can help the family with maybe searches for her and to share that information out there and keep the number out there, keep her face out there.
Do you guys think that she would be capable of putting her child in harm?
I know that Madison loves her children. I do know that. Why we're sitting here today asking where is Oaklee Snow is beyond me.
In Indianapolis, I'm Amber Grigley, WRTV.
This is what we know about Oakley's disappearance. The Seminole County Sheriff in Oklahoma says she was taken by her mother, Madison Marshall, in January, headed for Indianapolis. The two were with Oakley's 7-month-old brother and her mother's boyfriend, Roan Waters. 3 weeks later, Marshall called Oakley's dad in Oklahoma and said she anonymously dropped her off at an Indianapolis hospital. Well, she was never found at any hospital. Oakley's grandmother says the couple also abandoned the 7-month-old, who is now back with his father. The couple then traveled to Colorado, where Waters was arrested on an existing warrant for child abuse. Oakley's mother traveled back to Indianapolis before she was arrested in North Carolina for neglect of a dependent. IAPD did issue an alert for Oakley on March 8th, a month after her mother said she dropped her off at a hospital. The family tells us an Amber Alert was never issued because Oakley's mom had custody rights. Anyone with information about what happened should call IMPD.
Okay, and I've got the numbers at the bottom also on this. If you want to take a screenshot on this flyer, that is also Seminole County Sheriff's Office. They will take information too. Oh, they did yeah, you're right, Level. They did a really good job. Hey, Life Chaos, where you been, girlfriend? So this is beyond concerning. This is out of the realm of concerning. How did the 7-month-old get back to Oklahoma? Did they transport the 7-month-old, or did Zach have to come to Indiana and get him?
Yes, Zach had to actually go to Indiana to meet with CPS to get Colton back.
And again, like, you know, a lot of states, there's not going to be an Amber Alert because Madison is the mother. Madison can take her children wherever she wants, whether it's Disney World or Indianapolis. It doesn't, you know, she can take them wherever she wants. So when they left the 7-month-old, that's when they left the 7-month-old there. Then they hightailed it to Colorado. Do I have my timeline right?
You do. I mean, that's where it gets. February 9th is a really big date. There's a lot of things took place on that day. The thing is that according to these, you know, the statement that we had here about Kiana seeing them return later to the home without Oakley, and she didn't speak to them. we have a very large time gap. We don't know specifically when they left the home to, quote unquote, take Oakley to a hospital. We
Mhm.
don't know when they returned to the home. Was it specifically on February the 9th? Was it the next day? We don't know. There's a time gap there. And I think it's really it's very key to have that information. And so that's something we've been, asking for a lot on social media. Like, if anybody knows what that time frame is, please, speak up. Let us know, because it's really key in like how long was Colton alone, and how long before, they left with Oakley from the home, to when they returned without Oakley from the home. What type of hours are we talking about? Are we talking about hours, and then it was said that, they made their way to Colorado, but there's a gap in there, because that was February the 9th. And, Roan does not get arrested until March the 3rd.
So we have almost a
February
month.
9th to March 3rd, and we have nothing.
Almost a month.
Yes.
Was Zach trying to get a hold of her? He must have been going out of his mind. Well, I mean, everybody, but particularly the father, because he definitely has rights to his children. He must have been going crazy. And you might have told me, there's a lot going on. When was the 7-month-old returned to Zach? When did he go to Indiana and get Colton?
He went to Indiana sometime at the beginning of March.
It's a lot of time passing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of time passing. You know what? And thank God for those people that had Colton that did the right thing and say, this baby's been abandoned.
Yes.
All right. So what is the next step? I mean, has Zach said what he plans to do? Are you just, I shouldn't say just, because that's horrible. Are we just waiting on law enforcement? I'm sure they're getting camera footage, I'm sure, and they're having to backtrack significantly because, time is of the essence. And well, I mean, today's April 18th.
And we have to keep in mind too that all of this didn't end in Colorado. Roan was arrested. Maddie still somehow made it to North Carolina. She was arrested there, on March 23rd. So there's a lot of time too.
And that's my question. How did she get from Colorado to North Carolina? Who does she know in North Carolina? That's a long drive.
Mm-hmm.
She's got people she knows in Oklahoma. She's got people she knows in Missouri. She obviously knows people in Indiana. North Carolina, do you have any idea what the North Carolina connection is?
Yeah, there's a friend that she had, I think from Cromwell, who lives in North Carolina now, that she was able to go stay with.
I wonder if
Yes, I agree with that. That friend is from a past relationship that she had with somebody, and that's where that friend came from.
But Maddie was in Colorado when he got arrested, right?
Yes, it is said that she was there, but she was not there at the Best Western, which is where they were staying at the time. She was not there at the time of his arrest.
Okay.
And they also indicated that there was no signs that the children were at a hotel or at the hotel with them. And it is said that Roan had informed the police that he and Madison, Indiana, and headed to Colorado, which obviously we know that's not true because Colton was left behind.
Wow. See, it's confusing because, KOCO in Oklahoma City keeps saying that she's missing since January, but then we hear she's been missing since February.
So I think that's a lot of confusion for many people who have heard of Oakley's story and are trying to become more involved. She was taken from Zach's home January 19th from Cromwell, Oklahoma by Madison and Roan with Colton. And she was last seen in Indianapolis at that home on Albany, being carried out of the home by Madison and Roan. So she was taken from her home in Cromwell by Madison, which, as it's been stated, Madison had the right to take the children because, there was no order otherwise in place, and she is the biological mother, so she is a custodial parent. But last seen is Indianapolis, and I think that's always been a lot of confusion for people. Like, where is she missing from? She's originally from Oklahoma. She was taken there from there, and then last seen in Indianapolis.
Well, and this custodial parent situation has got to stop. It's ridiculous. Whether the mom is the custodial parent or the dad is the custodial parent, they treat it like they own a dog. Well, I can take my dog wherever I want, right? No. There's another parent involved. Fathers have rights. Non-custodial mothers have rights. You can't just go to another state and disappear and do whatever you want with someone else's child, because Zach is the father as well. He had no say in any of this. I have a feeling if a phone call had been made to you or to Molly or to Zach, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
And Zach did immediately on the 19th of January. He reported that Oakley and Colton were taken by their mom, Madison, from his home in Cromwell, Oklahoma. He stated that Madison and Roan took the children without consent and likely fled to Indiana, where Roan Waters had family. So he did immediately on the 19th of January. He reported, them being taken by Madison. And you're right. You run into that situation where, there is no custody order put in place. The parents weren't married. They're both, they both equally have rights to the children. And it's sad because had it been taken more seriously, especially at the fact that they were taken not only by their mom, but taken by their mom with Roan, who had already abused Oakley back in October and was facing, charges for that. So I feel like, there's been a lot of failure here. And unfortunately, it's Oakley who's paying the price for the failure of the system.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Because Maddie should not have just taken her out of state. There's no way. I mean, and there should have been something put in place. Zach gets the kids on every other weekend and Wednesdays, or something concrete, so that when she's gone for more than a week, Zach can say, I haven't seen my kids, and it seems that they're not in the state. Then something can be done.
Madison and the children were living with Zach at the time that she left Zach's home and took the children. So it wasn't that she just walked up in the house and took the children. She was living there.
I apologize. I was under the assumption they were still living with Molly. Molly, how long did they live with you, and when did they move back to Zach's?
I had taken her back, I believe, the beginning of August. Or I know it was the end of July, beginning of August, I took her back. She stated to me that she wanted to go back home.
Okay, with Zach. So she goes back to Zach, but somehow she was still talking to Rowan.
She did go back to Zach, and there was a point in time after Colton was born that Madison was struggling. And when I say struggling, I truly believe that Madison suffered from postpartum depression. And she reached out to her father and I and asked if she could come and live with us here in Missouri, because that's where we currently reside. We talked through it, and we were told that Madison was on drugs at that time, and we didn't think that we were the right people to be able to try to help get her off of drugs and out of that situation. We did reach out to Madison's grandma, which is my mother-in-law, and she was kind enough to take Madison into her home for a while. And once she got there, she told us, she said, Madison's, she's not on anything. Like, she's not on anything. She was very adamant about that. And that's where I truly believe, like, just with speaking with Madison and everything that was going on, I truly believe that she was suffering from postpartum depression. She stayed with her grandma for a period of time. She was still talking to Roan during that period of time, but she missed her kids. And so at one point, she went ahead and returned back to Zach's. And I'm sorry, I don't have specifics on the time frame of that.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I do have a question, and it's my question too. Where Summer said, how did she have custody still of the children, considering there was criminal charges against Rowan for child abuse against Oakley? There had to have been something going on, like a court date to be at or something like that. Does anyone know the specifics of that?
I don't know when the court date was specifically supposed to be, but it was November 7th that the district court of Oakley County in Oklahoma filed a warrant for his arrest on charges for the child abuse.
So CPS didn't have time to even do anything because they were already he already had a warrant out. They were hiding from him.
Well, if we can be really honest, if I believe it's 72 hours from an incident in Oklahoma, that if the police believe that any sort of abuse has taken place, they have the right to return and arrest, and that never happened. Child Services should have stepped in immediately after the report was taken. Honestly, Roan should have been arrested within hours after Madison made this statement. There is an affidavit out there. It was published, I believe, on April the 5th, and it's the whole affidavit from the child abuse charges. When the police took the report back on October the 26th, the child abuse happened on the 25th of October, and they took the report on the 26th because my mother-in-law, Madison's grandma, had received a call and was concerned for Madison and the children's well-being. So she personally called down to Oakley County on the 26th of January and asked for a welfare check. And that's when the police went out to the home where Madison and Roan were staying with the children at that time, because they were not residing with Zach at that time. Madison had both the children for how long, I don't know. There was a lot of in and out with Zach, her moving in and out with Zach during the fall time, really, after Colton was born. But they did go down there and do a welfare check, and it stated in there that, I mean, if you can pull it up, I recommend you pull it up, because it speaks a lot to Roan's behavior and what type of person he is. He became very belligerent with the police. As soon as they arrived, he came bursting out the door, screaming at them to get off the property. At one point in time, while the police were trying to speak to Madison and check on her and the children, he backed the vehicle out of the driveway and started blasting music. He was just causing a lot of chaos and disruption while they were trying to do the welfare check.
Goodness. I did go through that with Harper. So, okay, the 25th is when this happened. The report was given on the 26th. I'm surprised there wasn't an instant removal. Is Madison Indian, perhaps? Is there any tribal courts involved here?
No.
Okay. Because that was one of my very first questions. So this is basically just, I don't know how to say it in Oklahoma without people asking a bunch of questions. Huh. Do you know the specifics? Can you guys say the specifics of what happened on October 25th to give everybody a better idea?
Yes. It is stated that Oakley was crying and Roan hit her in the mouth for crying, which caused trauma to her mouth and lips. When Madison confronted him about hitting Oakley and said, "You can't do that to a child," Roan turned around and hit her in the face as well, causing a contusion to her, I believe it was her left eye, and redness and swelling to her cheek. The police came out on the 26th, did their welfare check, and they indicated, because Madison told them, "We're fine, everything's fine," they agreed and they left. It wasn't till later on that evening that Madison had spoken to Zach, and Zach's dad was supposed to go pick her up from the home that she was at. And they called the police back and asked for them to come out while he went to pick up Madison and the children. The reason for that, because of Roan, because they were concerned of what Roan might try to do. It was then discovered later that Zach's father didn't need to go get them, that a friend had brought Madison and the children back to Zach's house. That's when Zach called the police back and asked them to please come back out because Madison wanted to speak with them. And that's when she came forward with the truth about, Roan striking Oakley in the mouth. She showed the police Oakley's mouth. It had been busted open, showed them her eye, and the swelling and the redness and the contusion and stuff. So that's when the police took that basically the second report. First was a welfare check. Second one was actual report.
And what was the recommendation? Take him to jail? That's what I would do. Did she put a protective order in place? Obviously not, because they went to Indiana together.
She chose to not file any charges against him for herself, but obviously for Oakley. If I'm correct about that, Juju.
I'm wondering if the state of Oklahoma didn't pick up those charges because a minor was involved, because if you read the actual charges, one of them has to do with child abuse and the other has to do with domestic violence in front of a minor. So they actually gave him a charge for hitting Maddie in front of her too.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if the state of Oklahoma, because I know that even though if she didn't want to press charges, if this, they say a crime's committed, then the state can pick up.
That you don't have a choice. If you tell the police someone beat you in the head and you say, "No, I don't want to file charges," they're going to say, "Well, you don't have a choice. The state picks it up." So that's what happened in this case.
That's what it looks like to me.
Terry said he is a danger to the children. Yes, he is. And there would have been an order, whether she filed it or not, for him to stay away. it doesn't mean that she has to comply with it. And that's pretty much here what happened. So he was arrested. And of course, I mean, he walked right out because that's what happens, unfortunately.
I don't know that he was ever arrested on that, because that's why he got arrested in Colorado. It has nothing to do with Oakley missing right now. The arrest in Colorado is for the felony warrant for the child abuse and domestic violence in front of a minor.
Oh, yeah, because he didn't show up to court November 7th. So there's a warrant out for his arrest. So when the police came across him in Colorado, do you know what happened in Colorado that he came into the police's crosshairs?
Yes. The Greenwood Village Police Department in Colorado arrested him on the outstanding warrant after responding to a complaint about occupants of Best Western Hotel. It said that he got into some sort of argument or something to that matter with somebody there at the hotel, and the police were called.
Oh, so he's raising hell at the hotel. They call the police. They find out who he is. I have a feeling he probably told him his name was Buster Brown. He's not going to tell him who he really is. They figure out who he is. They find out there's a warrant in Oklahoma, which I can't believe that was out there. Sometimes they're kind of lazy about that stuff from state to state. And they put him in the clink. Good. And I'm glad that his mother, Brandy, is leaving him sit there. What's the bond?
$10,000.
Oh, well then she's super pissed. She can't cough up $1,000.
I thought his bond was revoked along with Maddie's.
Madison's bonds have both been revoked.
Yes.
Oh,
okay. That's good. That is very good to hear, because I was worried about that. Somebody will come up with some money to get him out, but they revoked it. That's all about Oakley. They want him to sit and spin until they tell him what happened to Oakley. And eventually, and I can't believe it hasn't already happened, one's going to turn on the other. The first to talk is the first to walk.
I think that's what we're really hoping for, is that one of them decides to spill the beans and try and make it better for themselves, and in the process that we can find Oakley.
Nucky said he's going to blame her. Yep. Horrible. This is absolutely horrible. And with them sitting in jail, I don't really know how they can go about questioning when they're sitting there. I mean, I guess they just wait for them to get just sick of, food and no sunlight. I really don't know how it goes down. Joyce, yeah, exactly, Joyce, no bond.
Yeah, we don't know either, and that's exactly what needs to happen at this moment. They need to feel that pressure of, get used to sitting here, because this is where you're going to be, and until you start talking about where Oakley is, you're just going to sit in there. You're not going to have the rights and the luxuries that you had before this. They've both made their choices, and they both have to be responsible for those.
Well, and the main choice seems to be that Rowan was the choice. I mean, I'm sorry to say it, because I know that you're related to her. She already knew that Rowan was bad news. He might have been cute and gave her butterflies in the Facebook Messenger, but he also abused Oakley and abused her. That wasn't the person to be going to Indiana with. People like that don't get better, they get worse. And now, here your lives are in upheaval, and most importantly, Oakley's missing. This is horrendous. How is your husband dealing with this, Christine?
I'm going to be honest with you guys. We love Madison, right? That's our child. Like, you don't stop loving your child, but you don't condone, support any of their actions when it comes to something like this. And it is very hard because he didn't actually find out about her until much later in her life. So they only really had a small period of time together, and now he's lost her, and he's lost a grandchild, right? Because we don't know where Oakley is. So it's extra hard because there's a lot of days where, you know, he doesn't know what to do. He's trying so hard, and we're reaching out to all these resources, and we're just trying to get, you know, people on the ground to help search, because I mean, what else do you do? But, you know, we don't support Madison's actions. But that doesn't mean that you don't still love them. And I think that's very hard. If you've never been in that situation before, then you have no idea what kind of a struggle that is for a parent.
Oh no, I couldn't imagine, because you can't just stop loving your child.
Right.
That's impossible. I mean, there's some people that say they can just turn it off. I don't understand that at all. Of course you still love her. That doesn't mean you agree with what's going on, because you love Oakley as well. And Oakley's the one that's missing.
Exactly.
You wouldn't, there'd be something wrong with you if you were just like, lock her up and throw away the key. I don't care what happens to her. There'd be something wrong with you. Of course you still love your child. Sean said, Rowan is a sicko. Let's not forget what he did to his brother in high school. Does anybody know about this?
Yes.
What did he do to his brother in high school?
It's alleged that he raped his brother.
Mm.
He is a very, very bad apple. I don't know that he has ever, held a productive life. Everything that we've dug about him I haven't seen anything good.
That's a different type of depravity. I wasn't prepared to hear that. Oh my God. So he's been a sick ticket for a long time. Was this in Indiana when all this went on, when he did this to his brother?
I am uncertain as to where that actually took place, but that is what we've been told on multiple occasions by multiple sources.
And I do know Rowan went to high school he went to Butner High School in Cromwell.
Yeah, I was told that it took place in Oklahoma.
So how did Brandy, his mom, wind up in Indiana? Who was Rowan living with when he went to high school in Oklahoma?
I actually do not know that specific answer as to who he actually resided with as he was growing up there.
Okay.
At some point he was, and this I would assume was after high school, but at some point he was in Indiana with Brandy because him, a friend, and his brother Brindle was charged with breaking and entering and burglary. There's a whole article about it. An older man held them at gunpoint while they were waiting on the cops, and they were arrested, and that's what he was in jail for up until he was released and met Maddie last year.
Mm-hmm. Do you think Maddie knows any of this stuff about his background? I mean, she knows he just got out of jail or prison. I'm sure he wasn't in McAllister.
I don't think she was aware of anything connected to him. Maybe she noticed it much later, but when she initially met him, she thought, oh, this is a cute guy on Facebook. No red flags, but much later she probably found out more about him, and I don't know how she reacted to that.
Sluggy said he love bombed Madison. I imagine he did.
Yes, he would send her like pictures of cars and houses, and Maddie would show me and say, he said he's going to buy me this nice car. He said he's going to buy me this house. He said whenever I give birth to Colton that he's going to take care of me and my babies and I won't have to pay for anything. And she was living on an island that he put her on.
Mm. Well, ladies, this is very, very, very distressing and very heartbreaking. And I just pray that they have put Oakley somewhere and someone has a strike of conscience to call that number at the bottom, or just a simple 911 and say, I have Oakley. The other people did it for the baby that was abandoned, for little Colton. Ryan Christie says, I want to know what the dealership is that the mother owns. Oh, I guess we'll find out, and I'll let you know, Ryan.
I think it's online. Doesn't she have some court cases against her, Christine?
She does.
Yeah, the mom's not. This family is just, you can tell they've all lived in the gray part of the law or whatever.
Oh, I bet. Well, he's not in the gray part, and he's not in the gray part now.
No, not him, definitely. But mom, she's been up to some shady stuff. His
Yeah.
brother Brindle, he's been up to some shady stuff.
You know, and
Yeah.
what kind of parents don't do something in their home when one of their children is AR'd by the other?
Right.
Mhm.
That is sick. That is sick. That is depraved. That is disgusting. And taking care of that situation years ago would have prevented this, because he's only gotten worse. Sean said, yeah, the whole family is sick. Sean, you seem to know a lot about him. Do you want to grab the link and come up? Let me put the link up real quick. See if Sean wants to come up and visit with us. Terry said, that is horrifying. It is. It's all horrifying. It is absolutely horrifying. Incest, the R word. We have little Oakley missing, child abuse charges, 2 people in jail, bond revoked. So that means the authorities are in no hurry. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean in no hurry with them, because they're going to sit and they're going to sweat it out until someone talks. If you could get a hold of Madison and explain to her, you know, it's going to be much easier on you if you tell them what happened. Absolutely have an attorney there with you. Of course, the attorney would probably say, don't say anything. Just sit there and eat your bread and cold beans. But they're going to be much easier on her if she speaks out. We can't we have no faith that Rowan's going to say anything, but for her daughter, tell what happened. How often are you allowed to call the jail and talk to her?
So she has to have, obviously has to have money on her books in order to be able to speak to anybody. Or
No,
text in.
she doesn't have to have money on her books to call anybody. She can call whoever she wants, and they have to pay for it. It doesn't matter if she has money on her books or not. They can put in their card and pay for a 3-minute phone call for 15 minutes.
Yeah, thank you, Molly. That is correct. Yeah, so she can reach out anytime she wants to, but as Molly indicated, you have to pay for it. It comes through almost like a collect call that you have to accept. And she has not attempted to reach out to us since the one time we spoke with her.
Good God. Well, the longer she sits, the longer she just stews, and she knows what happened that day. He damn sure does, but I don't have any faith that he's ever going to do the right thing in his life. I have a feeling he's just been an imbecile for a very long time. But there is some hope in her, because this is this behavior of hers is recent. This has been going on less than a year.
I know you had dropped the link for Sean. Sean, if you want to grab that, this is Julia up here. I know we've chatted quite a bit. I didn't know if you recognized me by Juju or not. Brooks is a great creator, and she's not going to give you a hard time or anything. And I think you really have a lot of good information that you could put out there as well.
I don't bite. Some people think I do, but I don't. Wiz said it's like a collect call. Good morning, Ava. Hey, Evil CJ. Evil CJ has a show. I bet he would love to talk to you guys. We have several creators in here. We had Trev Time in here. Of course, you know, Sluggy. Kat was in here. Let's get this story going. Let's make it where the media can't ignore it, because the best way to get it pushed into the news feed is for the media to cover it.
Yes, and we're hoping if the media can cover it enough, maybe, just maybe, we'll get a press conference so that we can know what's actually going on and what they're doing, because I don't think that there's been a lot of confirmation on what's going on right now. And I know that's normal in an active investigation, but, you know, something would be nice.
Some update for the public, but, you know, sometimes no news is good news. That means something's really breaking. They're real busy when they're not saying anything. I've seen it both ways.
I hope so.
Yeah, we hope so.
All right, guys. Well, I'm going to, next time, I'll give the link to you, Juju, and you can get it to Sean.
All
And
right, I can do that.
Put a panel together. Let's say sometime next week, we can get this in like a rotation, because I know other creators are going to be reaching out to you guys. So you guys will be on a lot more panels, which is a good thing. Just, you know the drill. Watch where you step out there, because some people are crazy. Slim said, is the FBI involved? I believe they are.
Yes. I had that information here. March the 6th, investigators reach out to the Indianapolis FBI office requesting assistance finding the children of Madison. Well, that was the children, but it really at that point was just Oakley, because Colton had already been returned to his father. Also on that day of March 6th, DCS told investigators that at that time, Colton's father had taken custody of Colton and had likely returned back to Oklahoma. So really, March 6th is when investigators reached out and requested the FBI's assistance.
That's a good thing that the FBI is involved. Very good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this crosses 4 different states.
Because in some cases they come in, they check to make sure it's not a true abduction, meaning, you know, not involved with anybody the child knows, and then they leave it to the locals and the state bureau. So that's good. The FBI, they're on the hook for this one, because there's so many states involved.
Yeah, there's 4 that we know of. I just wonder, the biggest question I have after sleuthing the case is what happened after Madison. How did she leave Colorado? Who got her to North Carolina? How did she know to go there? Where did she travel along the way? You know, there's just a big blank time there too.
That's what I want to know. How did she get from Colorado? I don't care if she just got down to the panhandle of Oklahoma. I would be like, how did she get there? These people are very, very mobile, and that's what kind of scares me, because there is such a thing as child trafficking. You've got 4 states, and they have no problems getting around. You know, Oakley's asleep. We're taking her to the hospital, and she's never to be seen again. I don't know.
Yeah, and then after that occurs, someone still helped her from Colorado to North Carolina. It's wild to me.
Yes, I heard about a bus
Colorado
ticket to Colorado to North Carolina.
Sorry, go ahead, Molly.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't hear you. Yeah, I heard about a bus ticket being bought for Madison in Indiana to North Carolina.
Yes, that's correct. That's what I've been informed of as well. A Greyhound ticket.
Any idea who bought that ticket?
I heard it was Kiana. Other people heard different people.
Yeah, I think there's a few names floating out there. I'd actually heard Brindle's name. I had heard, is it Brianna? Is that the lady in North Carolina?
Brianna, yes.
Brianna, yeah, I'd heard her. Now Charles Dickinson, the man who owned the property where she was arrested, who it looks like Brianna may be in a relationship with, or friends, something of that nature. You know, he accepted my friend request on Facebook, but he has yet to answer my messages. I feel like he would have some information as well. He surely would know how someone ended up at his home.
Oh, you'd think. You would think. Ryan Christie said, then how did she get from Colorado to Indy to get to North Carolina? See, there is so many unknowns, and I think the unknowns are really, really important. Because just looking for Oakley in Indianapolis might not quite be the case here. I'm sure the FBI knows who bought the ticket. I'm sure the FBI knows exactly what highway they took, what interstate, where they stopped, where they ate. I'm sure that might be a lot of the problem, is putting together a very convoluted timeline because so much time had passed.
Absolutely. That's what I think too.
Well, ladies, I appreciate all three of you coming up and your tireless work to try to find Oakley, which I know is going to pay off in the end because she's out there somewhere. Kids don't just disappear, for sure. And I want you to know that this platform, this panel is open to you guys anytime you want to get a message out there, you want to update us, you just want to come up and say friendly reminder or unfriendly reminder, Oakley is still missing. And this is the best community on YouTube because the people here, they put their money where their mouth is. They will send the emails. They will send messages to media outlets. They will do it. They will do it. Trust me.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for having us on today. For sharing Oakley's story, for taking the time to hear us. We're Oakley's voice, and we just really appreciate that you're giving us a moment and putting us out here like this. And so thank you again.
Anytime. And I mean anytime. Don't be shy. Reach out to me and say, it's time for another show. I'll have it ready for you.
Yes, and I also wanted to say thank you for getting, Oakley's name out there. More people need to see this.
We're going to get more creators involved, and like I said, you've got a lot of help here. Don't forget it, okay?
Yeah, your platform is greatly appreciated. And, any other creators that want to cover Oakley's case, if you have questions, whatever's holding you back from doing it, reach out to myself, Harper, Alley Cat that's down in chat. I know she will speak with you. I mean, there's a lot of us that, you got a lot of information to work with here.
All right, creators, did you hear that? We're on it. All right, guys, I will talk to each of you after this show. I'll send you a message here in a minute. And just remember, we're open to you guys anytime.
Thank you
All right.
again.
Thank you, Brooks.
All right. Have a good rest of your day. All right, guys, this is heartbreaking. This is horrible. And something's got to be done. I do trust that the authorities are doing all they can do. You have the FBI involved. You have ISP involved. You have the local Seminole County Sheriff's Department. I have not heard anywhere, and I've been looking through every article I can. I have not heard that the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation is involved. They probably are in there somewhere. I don't know. Just because I missed it doesn't mean they're not in it. FBI, most importantly, because they have all the tools. And that's what Oakley needs. You're talking 4 states, and kids don't just disappear. I will see you guys back here in 30 minutes. Let's hope for a smoother day with the trial than we had yesterday. Please share Oakley's poster. Please share this live wherever you can, in your socials, on your page, however you do it. And I'll see you back here in 30 minutes. And as always, you guys are hands down the best. Thanks for being here for Oakley. And I'll see you in a minute.